Well, hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Sunday show. How is everybody? Let me just make sure everything is kosher. The sound is good. The lighting is good. And all of that good stuff. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, so we had a little error there. I didn't have it be public. It was unlisted. I could tell it was unlisted because there were only 7 people. So I apologize for it not being public. So let's just wait a second for everybody to get here. But some of you somehow found it, even though it was unlisted. Hi, Rena. Good to see you. Hi, Liz. Lovely to see you as well. Hi, Twitterbug. That's a cute name, Twitterbug. Well, it is a delightful Sunday. It is a delightful Sunday here in a beautiful downtown Portland, Oregon. As many of you know, as many of you are aware, I broadcast from somewhere live in downtown Portland, Oregon. Every Sunday we get together at approximately 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or if it's Pacific Daylight now. And I am thrilled to be here. What about you folks? Where are you all coming from? Let's take a moment to say hi to one another and talk a little bit about where we're coming from. My name is Whimsy, and as I mentioned, I'm from Portland. What's your name and where are you coming from? As we prepare to get this party started, let's go ahead and start saying hi to people. Hi, Renee. Hello. Hi, Liz. Hi, Ray. Hi, Sarah Eschweller. Good to see you. Roxanne's in the house. Clement. Meg Garrow, thank you for being a member. Joanna Burgess in the house. Thank you for being a member. Sandra, hello. Liz, I think I've said hi to you. Melissa Miller, great to see you. It was fun hanging out with you on Spa Day. Tish is in the house. Joanna Carson, Debbie Brady. We would be lost without Debbie Brady, your dreams coach, and I guess she is a dreams coach. We appreciate her. Hi, Kel Bell. Great to see you here as well. Rayam is the house. So we've got New York City in the house. Woohoo! Love New York City. We got North Texas in the house. Blue Dot, Indiana. You got to expand that dot in Indiana, my friend. Yay, Geocosmic Valentine. She's a wonderful astrologer. She's also a remote viewer who's been getting training in heart-centered remote viewing. So if you would like to get an astrology chart done with a professional empath, Geocosmic Valentine is quite good. She's quite impressive, actually. I wish she would do more on her channel. Excuse me. Hi, Super Queen Bee. 45, great to see you. San Francisco, lovely. I love San Francisco. Some of the best restaurants around are in San Francisco, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Thousand Oaks, California. Nice. Lovely. New Hampshire's in the house. Kansas City, Missouri. Dee is here. Constance Pleasance. Always good to see you here. San Francisco. Wonderful. Maine in the house with Joanna Burgess. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Sarah Eschweller. New York City is a birthplace of Susan Queen Bee. Aww. Thank you for the stars, Geocosmic Valentine. So now the next question is, while we wait for everyone to show up, we'll give it a couple more minutes. What are you having for your brunch? Now, you know, I usually have a smoothie. People have asked, what kind of smoothie? I use Protein and Greens by the company Paradise. I put some frozen mixed berries and bananas in it. Sometimes I put a little chia seed or flax, oat milk, blend it all up. People have always asked me about my morning smoothie. But yeah, that's my morning smoothie. Oh, Jane the Secret Tarot got a astrology chart remote viewing. That's an interesting idea, right? Where she's using the chart as a target to enter into. She's using the chart as her fetish object, right? Because when you teach HCRV short form, heart-centered remote viewing short form, you have something that is the focus, right? So we have a focus. The focus can be your card, can be a fetish. But what Geocosmic Valentine has done is, which is really pretty cool, is she's had your astrological chart. She's using that to enter into an altered state and go into a remote view. So she has the basic chart and the astrological information, and then she goes into an altered state and then begins to scan the chart and begins to get information via the chart. It's fascinating. I don't know why she isn't more successful, because not a lot of people are, not a lot of HCR. It's rare. It's rare. It's rare that you'll get somebody with those kinds of skills who does heart-centered remote viewing that's also a trained astrologer. So I do hope more people will check out Geocosmic Valentine and reach out to her if you want to get your chart done. Wow. Oh, hi, Kay. Kay Travel Tarot is here, also a great channel and a friend of mine. So good to see her here. Somebody's here having poached eggs. Who's that? I just saw. Okay, it's Paula Faust. Poached eggs, bacon toast, orange juice, and coffee. Okay, where are you eating? She's obviously at a really great restaurant, which I think is great. Mark Rhodes sending us beautiful monarch butterflies. Thank you. Oh, Mel Boussard from Texas. Well, I think we've got enough people here to get started. How's everybody doing otherwise? Good? Weather is good. People are safe. People are happy. All right, let's do this thing. So everybody like to talk about the remote views? For those of you who are just joining us, my name is Whimsy. And it would be great if you could share, like, and subscribe, because it would really help out this channel. So thank you for that. Also, if you become a member, that helps the channel. And I appreciate that. Okay, so let's talk about it. So for those of you who are tuning in, I'm a heart-centered remote viewer. I use HCRV. It's a type of remote viewing that empaths use. It's a secular technique. We train people to do this. We have trainings here. So HCRV is a 5-step technique. And part of the 5-step technique is that there is something called a step 3 in HCRV, right? And step 3 is where you abide and you meditate and you try to check in on yourself and you try to go into your inner dynamics, because you want to be aware of your stuff so you don't give it to anybody else. Step 4 in HCRV is where we attempt to make contact with a person, place, or thing. Right? So this is step 3. The first part of my remote viewing yesterday has to do with step 3. And in step 3 of meditation, we step back objectively and we begin to observe physical sensations in our body and how they impact or inform our decisions. So if we can step back and just observe the sensations in our body and how they evoke emotions and how those emotions may cause us to make certain choices we may regret later, right? So we get a sensation, then we get an emotional response, and then we might get a thought because of the physical sensation or the emotion, and then we have an action. So I want people to think about this as a choice. Excuse me. I want people to think about their reactions as a choice, because when you slow down the process of how we react to things action, reaction. In heart-centered remote viewing, we slow things down. It's almost like the Matrix where everybody is in slow motion. We see the action, we step back and we observe the global action. We look at all the actors and say, okay, this is probably moving in this direction when we observe this energy. This begins with an awareness of the self. Awareness of the self and the ability to check in on yourself is required in order to be a competent remote viewer. You must be able to look at your own stuff. And that means slowing yourself down and observing how you may be choosing how you react to a given situation. So, my gift to you as a remote viewer is how I have been struggling with the dance of anger, right? Anger is a dance, and I call it putting on a pair of pants. Now, as children, we mimic and we ape the behavior of the adults around us. Sometimes that's good, right? We learn how to hold a fork and knife. We learn how to communicate with people, but we may also be observing if we're raised in an environment that's violent or angry, etc. We may start to just be imitating what we see. Someone yells at you, you yell back, right? Someone hits you, you hit harder. But with HCRV step 3, anger is a pair of pants. You can choose to wear it or not. So if someone comes at me with a comment or whatnot, and I don't take the time to process it, and I immediately feel the emotion of being defensive, and then my immediate split response of how I was raised is I immediately assume someone's coming after me to hurt me, right? If you're a defensive person, oh, what do they want? You can be a defensive person and then immediately you're thinking about how you're going to retaliate, right? So this is what I was working on in step 3. So anger is a pair of pants that you can either choose to wear or not. So if somebody comes at you and you feel maybe like, take a moment to just, okay, I can choose how I'm reacting to the situation. Just be aware of the sensations in your body and how you're responding to people and how some of it may be practiced, rehearsed, or learned as children, so much so that the habit becomes us. But we can discard it like a pair of pants if we want to, any type of bad habit that we have learned and taken on. And so then the question becomes, who are you? If you are not your anger, if you are not your rage, if this is what has defined you as a sense of who you are in relation to the world, and you let it go, who will you be? So it kind of goes back to this idea of the matrix, where we create identities and we discard them. You can take on an identity and you can discard an identity like a pair of pants. And so what I learned in my meditation and what I wanted to share with you is how I'm healing from a bad habit. That my anger is just a bad habit that I learned, developed, and cultivated. And it was unconscious. And so now I consciously choose to discard the pants. So when I feel that defense, when I feel somebody coming in, because I have some social anxiety, right? So this is why I share this with you. So if I get into a social situation that creates anxiety, I check in and say, I'm feeling anxiety. Doesn't necessarily mean there's anything. And now I can choose, I don't have to just say, I feel anxiety. I'm going to put on and start puffing myself up like my cat does when my cat feels threatened, right? But it's all an act. It's all just stuff we learned in order to maneuver ourselves in this matrix. Do you understand? So any bad habits that you may have learned, give yourself an opportunity through meditation to say, do I really have to react like that? Maybe it's time to just discard that and try something different. Anger, I would take on like a pair of pants and I would wear it. And I have chosen, you know what? By being a conscious person, I chose not to wear that pair of pants. So, I don't have to look at every situation and immediately wear that pair of pants and say, well, Whimsy is a ABC. You could choose another pair of pants. For example, say you choose tomorrow that you're going to wear some bubbly pants and you're going to choose to pursue things. Tomorrow, your assignment is to pursue things that are bubbly. So every time you're exposed to a stimulation, I want you to check with yourself and say, is this making me feel bubbly inside? This is something we see with like Goldie Hawn, right? She chooses to, she learned at a very early age to seek the giggle inside of herself. She learned how to self-soothe, to seek the little bubbly inside of herself, and then to give it out to the world. And that's why she was an excellent comedian, right? So, say you decide to let the anger go and say, you know what? Tomorrow's going to be a bubbly day. It's a delightful day tomorrow. I'm going to be bubbly and I'm going to seek out the positive and I'm going to seek out bubbly experiences. And I'm going to choose when I have that sensation, instead of putting on this character, the angry pants, I'm going to look for the bubbly. And you can retrain yourself to take on a trait. And then, you know, who knows, in a year from now, people will say, you know, that Dr. Whimsy, she's such a bubbly person because she's chosen to wear a new pair of pants. All right, so that is my personal meditation using HCRV. I don't know if wearing a pair of shorts, if me going through that experience and struggling with my own imperfections and how I use HCRV for self-awareness, if that gives you, if that's anything that you can use. All right. The other thing that people want to talk about. All right. Elon Musk has joined the Republican Party. Elon Musk is the wealthiest man in the world. He now has control of Twitter, and he wants to do business with Republicans. Anybody nervous? This goes back to the remote view on Elon Musk, where I went in and Elon Musk said it's a business venture. It's a business venture. So people are going to buy, he's going to let people get away with a lot of stuff that they shouldn't on Twitter. And that probably is why the FCC is coming in when you follow the energy, if he decides to buy Twitter. Remember when we followed the energy on Twitter, it showed that the FCC was going to have to get involved, and possibly him doing business with political, and now he's come out Republican. The other thing that's come out about him, Elon Musk, you may have already heard it, is sexual harassment allegations against a flight attendant in 2000, was it 2016 when this took place? It's just now come public. She signed an NDA, and again, it goes back to the NDAs. These NDAs and whether or not they're even legal. Can you sign your human rights away? Barack Obama had very strong opinions about NDAs, right? You know you cannot. It's ridiculous. Can't you have there? We are all American citizens, and therefore we are all entitled to a certain constitutional rights. You can't just sign them away. You can't be someone's punching bag. If you tell that I broke a law or harassed or threatened or beat or etc., you can't say, you can't be victimized for reporting a crime, right? Which is the whole problem with an NDA. But what seems to have happened with Elon Musk is that he tried to have sex with a flight attendant, got her to give him a massage. He exposed his penis to her. This is the allegation. And she, I guess, signed an NDA. They settled. I think she got $200,000 from SpaceX. Well, y'all think about this. Do you think, um, oh, it was a quarter of a million? Okay. I thought I had it written down 200K. Yeah, it goes back also, Foggy Ozark, to whether or not you can speak up if your boss, the owner of the company who's worth millions of dollars, does how do you handle a situation like that? And should an underling even be in a situation where they have to be thinking about how here's a great idea. Don't put your employees in a situation like that. Then they won't have to scramble to try and figure out how to handle it. Oh my god. So, I definitely think with the whole Elon Musk thing, we gotta do some blitzes on it because, oh my god, but I did see the last time we did a remote and the last time, we were accessing records on the Twitter, that FCC, that the feds were very concerned about, the politicalization and also these bots, et cetera. Yeah, he says that we're not nice. He says the Democrats are not nice and that the GOP is nicer. I think it also has to do with the fact that we want to regulate him. Some regulation is a drag. Some of the building regulation in California, I get it. But come on now. This type of regulation is pretty darn important. Employees not wanting to um, be harmed. Okay, so that's a quick remote, and we will do a blitz on it later, but I just wanted to talk about that. May have been why we felt the energy of the FCC and the deals with Republicans. We did that remote prior to him saying he had become a Republican. So that may have been why we were getting that overlap in the last remote from last week. All right, so racist attacks, attacks on people of color, black churches, etc. This goes back. People had asked if we could talk a little bit about attacks, racist attacks increasing in the United States. This goes back to. Hi, Anna. Great to see you here. This goes back to remotes where we talked about the concern that racists would begin acting either alone or in groups in order to try and start a civil war or a race riot. This kind of extremist, right wing, anti government, overthrow the government. It's back to the seditionist. It's wanting to Texas to secede from the Union. It's almost like the Civil War, like they never really surrendered. It's that kind of a feeling. And the concern here goes back to remotes we had talked about in the past, which is that we could be seeing more violence in the future, and we could be seeing organized violence in an attempt to start a race riot. And it goes back to these organizations that are currently under investigation in the United States that have links to domestic terrorism. I thought it was actually going to be a lot worse. And I think the fact that it has not been as bad as it could be has to do with the fact that we're seeing a lot of activity in Homeland Security, a lot of people being arrested, which is hopefully going to do a lot to protect people. Okay, here's the big remote. We're ready now to go on to the big remote. If anybody had any comments about that, and we can do some blitzes on lone wolves and organized white supremacists later today if you want. Okay, the big remote here that I wanted everybody to kind of talk about has to do with the Tic Tac UFOs. We were asked if we could do remote views on the Tic Tac UFOs that were spotted near San Diego. All right, so let me go ahead. We're going to show you my notes. Well, yeah. Thank you, Paula. Good comments. This is really where we're going. If somebody has enough country to if somebody has as much money as Elon Musk, they're a trillionaire, they can start their own country, then they basically are above the power of the United States and the Constitution. And if they are operating mega yachts in international waters and think that they are going to compete with our Constitution financially, etc., this is the great terror. And this is why a lot of people like Bernie Sanders think that nobody should have this kind of power because it's a threat to national security, but it's also a threat to international security that anybody should be independently operating like this. So that brings us to our Tic Tac UFO conversation. And here is the mind map. You can see here what we did is the first thing we did as a remote viewer is you want to go ahead and do your grid, and you can see the grid there. So I did my grid. San Diego, you can see it's right at the border, Tijuana. And when I went in, I did see drones, and I saw drones because of drug cartel. You can see the drug cartel energy I went in. As I entered into Mexican waters, I was seeing security. Entered into US waters, I was seeing security, and I was seeing security with to try and prevent drug cartel coming in from the waters. That was the main security, and I did find drones, both Mexican drones and US drones. So everybody's seeing this. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so where we stand right now, based on a remote viewer's assessment of the location, the target I was sent to, I saw high security concerns with guns, weapons, and drugs at the San Diego Tijuana border, and also in Mexican international waters, and U.S. waters. I also found U.S. drones, U.S. experimental and swarm drones that were part of U.S. naval operations, security, etc. This Tic Tac is not part of that. I ruled it out. So if you would like to be part of this experiment, you can go, and you are a heart-centered remote viewer, you can go ahead and grab your cards, or you can grab a pendulum and be part of this experiment. But I did this via pendulum. So if you want to do it with a pendulum, you can as well, because based on the remote, this is what I have for you. Number one, are these US drones? So US government drones, that's the question. So the question is, are these US advanced drones that are not public information? And you can see here I got an X. No. So these are not US drones. They're not coming from the Navy. They're not us. Okay. So then the next question, number two, on my pendulum, are these private contractors? So that would be Elon Musk, somebody with the financial wherewithal that's doing advanced experiments that's not going public with it. So we would have to contact SpaceX. We would have to contact all these different independent contractors. Is it you? Are you operating these types of drones in the United States without the awareness of our security? We need to know. Is it you? And you can see here under the private contractors, the Elon Musk, etc., I had a negative. The third question I had was foreign government. I got a yes. There's something going on with foreign government. So then I had to break it down. Foreign government was broken down into allies and non-allies. So I went to allies. It's not a Mexican drone. It's not a South Korean drone, and it's not an Australian drone. In that area, those were it's not Japanese drones, which are also advanced, and aquatic drones out of Japan. So I got a negative, even though all those countries are experimenting with aquatic drones. There's some kind of a foreign aspect to this, though. The fourth I got was time travelers, and I got uncertain. So the idea here, this is the theory that physicists are coming up with. I just am a remote viewer. The theory is that they're us. They're us at the base. So we have we have a naval base, we have air bases in Orange County. And the argument is that the base will be here 100 years from now. The base will be here 200 years from now. The base will be here 500 years from now. And so what the base does is it breaks time travel. And so 500 years, 1,000 years from now, at the base, they'll be doing time travel experimentation. And so we're basically seeing ourselves zipping in and zipping out. This is one of this, and this theory is actually gaining traction amongst physicists. How's that for a mind blower? All right, so I have uncertain under time traveler. Fifth was rogue government. Rogue government. So that would be a group of people who get together on their mega yachts with their scientists, and they decide that they're going to take over the world, and they're a rogue government. I got a negative on that. So the strongest hits I got was foreign government, time travelers, and aliens. Based on what I picked up, the most likely explanation for what we're seeing is that it's us in the future doing time travel experiments, and we zip into 2022 and scare the hell out of our grandkids. Or it's a foreign government that's learned how to do this, that is an enemy of the United States, right? Because it's not an ally country. So that means it could be North Korea, it could be China, or Russia. Those are the main concerns. So we have aquatic drone technology competition, North Korea, Russia, South Korea. We said already it's not an allies country. So it's either going to be North Korea, Russia, or China to do an aquatic drone. The theory was that they're using these drone systems in order to spy on U.S. Naval activities, etc. All right, one of the other possibilities was under private contractors. That fell with Caltech. Okay, so you can see here also, I went to all the universities and all the science schools in the area, and I fell on Caltech was also doing aviation drone experimentation. So could it be that the students developed something and had not communicated with the US about potential experimental drone systems coming out of, say, Caltech or somewhere else? Confusing, right? So the conclusion here. Oh, right. So this is what I wanted to say. So now do you guys want to hear a little bit about the technology of the drone? It looked like it's round and it's silver, right? So what it looked like is it looked like it had a flat, it looked like it was a drone. It's about 6 feet, the Tic Tac. It looks like it has a flat motherboard in the center. And it looks like the silver metallic stuff that is causing the circular shape of the drone is pliable and it's not metal. It's pliable and it is not metal, which means it can collapse. This is what we're talking about. This is what the inside of the Tic Tac looks like. So I come out of the water. It's almost like a rubber substance. Now I've got my board in the center that's collecting data. I'm going over, say, US areas. They're following me. I go in the water. I collapse like this, slide in the water. Maybe I'm attached to some kind of submarine or something. I come out of the water. I open up with this rubber silver type, very light too. It's a light type of substance, but it is not rigid. You float around like this and go in. So that's how it appears to look. Based on everything I see here, I think it's us. I think it's our future. I don't know. It's not us now, so what else could it be? Who would have that kind of, it's kind of cool technology where you have your computer, you have your laptop there like this that you're controlling, and that's what people don't get. They think it's solid. It's not solid. It's like a bouncing rubber ball with a hoverboard in with your motherboard inside. That's all it is. And then it can collapse. What do you think? Oh, we figured it out. That's why it's so light, because it's not metal. It's like a rubber ball, and it's just got a computer in the flat, and then it flattens and goes back into its main ship. That's how it's working. So if you're from NASA, if you're from any of these places, and you watch this channel and you're trying to figure it out, that's what the remote viewer got. Your mistake is that you assumed it was metal, and it's not. All right, was that fun? Now you and your engineers are like, thank you, doctor. It unlocks and then collapses, and it's rubber and it protects, it keeps it dry, and then okay, thank you. See, I saved you time. I should get now that you're going to patent this, the rubber ball with the motherboard inside, and that's how you guys solve the aquatic. Should I get a percentage of this to pay off my student loans? What do you think? Yeah. The remote viewers, we should get paid. Anyway, that's what I have. So what do you think? It looks so spooky, and yet the technology is actually not that complicated, is it? All right. So that is what I think that's all my notes for today. That's all that you have emptied my brain, folks. That is all I have for you. I can do some blitzes though. Whenever we can do the empath prayer, give you guys a general, and then afterwards do some blitzes. Does that work for people? And if you could share, like, subscribe, thank you. Become a member. You can hang out with me more often. How are we doing? Okay, we're doing fine on time. Empath prayer and a community reading. Sound good? Okay. I should timestamp. I do this because I'm supposed to go back and timestamp, but I don't. Okay. All right. Excuse me. All right. I want to call on what excuse me. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. Let's go in. Let's do a reading. Oh, thanks for the thing on the cough. Yeah, it's my cat. She's shedding. My cough isn't as bad as it used to be. It's gotten a lot better. It used to be really bad. Okay, where we are at right now. Oh, a lot of you are entering into a time in your life where you are just about figuring things out in terms of what your goals in life are, in terms of what you want to do with your life. It's been an interesting last couple of years. People have been doing a lot of meditating, but now spring is here and the energy is a lot more active. A lot of people are up and moving and they're excited, and life is about having experiences and doing things just to do them for the experience. It's enough of a reason. So you also have the base of the matter here as Archangel Michael, who brings the sword of truth. We think about pages as messengers, messengers as angels, and they do have aspects to them that are angelic. They bring messages to us. Page of Swords is associated with Archangel Michael, who brought the sword and fought against the devil. So there's the devil or the Satan, spiritually, not religiously, but spiritually, is anything that is the lie we tell ourselves. We all protect ourselves in various different ways. So when Archangel Michael comes to fight the devil with the sword of truth, there's a kind of reckoning there where we have an awareness of our situation, awareness of who we are, what our imperfections are, uh, and what we have to do to make our lives better, etc. It's interesting. Karma card is the Ten of Cups, which can be a happy family, happy home. So many of you could be finding yourselves that you finally figured out how to create a happy life for yourselves, a happy home, a happy family, because these are cards that would denote, truth and peace and happiness in the home. Where you are at right now, a lot of you have really gotten into meditation and deep thought work. Four of Swords is like a stopgap, but I also think of it as like samadhi, the person who goes in and does deep spiritual work. And then the crossing card is Judgment. In many ways, your health improved the last couple of years because you had to rest. It's like prior to COVID, I had really bad neuropathy because I had ruptured a disc in my back. But I couldn't go out. I wasn't walking. I wasn't exercising. I was just lying in my bed reading. Well, after 2 years of COVID, I gained a bunch of weight. But you know what? My neuropathy went away because I let myself rest and my nerves repaired. So despite the fact that it's been frustrating, everything that's been happening the last couple of years, in many ways, we are better. I like the cards of judgment, clarity, and reason. It's like the group is getting very clear, because you've got that Archangel Michael, clarity and truth, and then your crossing card is sound judgment. So it's also about people giving themselves time to slow down and really think about what's going on in their lives. What is above you, possibility of some international travel and your wishes being granted. The fourth house is what's coming, what you're contemplating, what you're building, international waters. I was thinking, for example, like, would it be fun to go to Paris for a month and do a 4-week accelerated French class? Just to live in Paris for a month. You can stay at the dorms. It's a senior thing. It's like over the age of 55, you can stay in their dorms and you can do accelerated French for a month. And lots of people do it, and it's very affordable. And I think it's partially funded by the French cultural whatever. It's only a couple $100. So you could save and you could do something like that to have the well, you should come with me, Pamela, because there's a lot of programs like this. They've got them all over France. They also fund preservation of the French language, so they really want to do this. But anyway, that would be an example of how I can relate to the Three of Wands of going overseas, because I was looking into these programs recently with this thing, I could probably save up for this and make that happen. What you're sitting in also is 10 of Wands, which is now is the time for you to think about what you can do. Yeah, they have program in Italy too. You can look through your community colleges, and they do have senior discounts, some community colleges. So I would start with the community colleges oversee language studies, because that's probably going to be your best savings, is if you can get it through the community colleges. And then you stay in the dorms to save money. You can pay extra if you want your own room, or if you want to. I want my own room if I do that. I would pay extra. 400 euro a week versus 250. It's just because I need my privacy. I would pay extra. 10 of Wands in the third house. We've talked about letting stuff go physically and also psychologically. Now is the time to lighten your load a little bit. 10 of Wands. Work smarter, not harder. Spirituality, you guys are really finding out who you are. Near future for you, things happening very quickly. Knight of Swords in the 6th house. Wow. So some of you could be making really serious decisions very soon about travel, your life, etc. Hi, Miss Patricia. Some of you, if you're looking for a job right now, some of you, you're going to get it, and you're going to get paid probably more than you've ever made in your life, because the outcome for the group is Ace of Pentacles. Hold out for the best job if you're looking for a best job, because you've got a 4 of Cups here. No. The great walkout. And then you have an Ace. You can afford, if your work is excellent, you can afford to hold out for better pay. If you own your own company, your business is going to take off. And I see an explosion of work this summer. More jobs than people remains. We talked about this in remote viewings. We're now at 3.5%. People are concerned about a recession. I don't think we can have a recession, because there's simply too much work to get done. So I don't see an unemployment problem. Look at here, underemployment, Ace of Pentacles over summer. We don't have an unemployment problem. In some ways, it's kind of weird, because people don't want to go to work. They would rather work 20 hours a week and live frugally on beans and rice and practice their poetry than live. People were working too hard in the United States. We don't have mandatory vacation like they do in Europe. And I think Americans just got fed up and walked out. But now, a lot of people are negotiating. They're negotiating their salaries. So I feel like I'm going to sneeze. For what? For what? For the joy of learning, Debbie. That's why. That's why you learn French. All right. So that is our group's reading today. Success in career, success in business, a lot of labor. I don't see unemployment. No way. With a third house of a 10 of wands and a final outcome of an ace of pentacles, no way. Very busy. All right. Those are work cards. A lot of work cards. Yeah, worker, entrepreneur, workers, work, aggressive energy. Wands. Wands are about work, labor, aggression, movement, travel, pioneer. Don't be afraid. I don't see financial problems. All right. So whenever we get the order, we can blitz, blitz, blitz away. Woo-hoo-hoo. And we have 260 likes. 261. It doesn't wait. You just go. You give it a like. You can ask me questions. You can become a member. If you're a fairy and angel, you get to hang out with us every Saturday. We had a interesting hangout this Saturday. What else do I have to say? Oh, I will be shooting some Wizio videos today. I got a little bit behind. If you are trying to get a Wizio reading, those are quick 5-minute taped readings. They cost $20. If you're waiting, I will get those out to you today. I did run a little bit behind. If you do want to get one, you can find the Wizio information below. If you're trying to get in for a full reading with me, those are phone readings. You can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com. Right, Miter. You're getting a bunch of offers. A lot of people are, and it's only going to get worse because we have all the contracts are starting to hit in September. September is when all the contracts tend to blam. People negotiate in the summer, particularly the government stuff. But by I don't think we have enough people. We certainly don't have enough prosecutors, that's for sure. Every time you look at the government ads for jobs, it's like prosecutors. Like, oh my God, what the heck is going on in DC? All right. So hi, Bugs Bunny. Good to see you. How are the Democrats going to do with the midterms? We'll just do 4-card blitzes now because we have a lot of questions. All right. How are Democrats going to do in the midterms? It's a feeling when you go into this feeling that I see police raids. I see like police action, arrest. I don't think they're going to be able to take over the federal government because so many people are facing prosecution. So it's questionable whether or not they can even run as Congress people, and it may be even unconstitutional for them to run. And that's something, look, if you're calling for the destruction of the United States, should you really be running for Congress? But you have here the Knight of Swords, which is strong, aggressive action. It could be police action or police raid. Then you have the Justice Department. You have a fear here that people are jumping ship with the Democrats. Hi, Melissa. Fear of exile, being locked out of the church, can't get in. So that is probably a real concern that people who were not necessarily Democrats, but were voting Democrat, we've lost them. We've lost, if we've lost Elon Musk, right? And if Elon Musk is going to use his trillions and his Twitter to have it be nothing but Republican bots and fake news, that's really going to harm us theoretically, right? So there's the Five of Pentacles could indicate that we're trying to woo people back, that people are leaving because the final outcome is Lovers. So that would lead me to think, because we are a broad tent party, that we have got to do something with Lovers as an outcome to pull people back in who are potentially leaving. Because you have this card of exile and then you have the Lover coming in, which could indicate a desperate attempt to try and bring back these big tent ideas. It's going to take a lot of work for us to save ourselves. 10 of Wands over the Knight of Swords. As far as the Justice Department's concerned, they are ready to prosecute within now. We're going to start seeing prosecutions. Ace of Wands. It's also a 1 month card over the Justice. So we will start seeing prosecutions soon. Over the issue of people leaving the party is being transformed. So we are losing people, but we're gaining people. Probably because we've gained. How many millennials are Republicans today? We should be okay, Empress. We can save the party and we can win. We're going to have to try and look at everybody in the party. It's a big tent party so that people don't start leaving in droves. But with an Empress as an outcome, we can still save ourselves. Yeah. Well, it explains why hi, Kay. It explains with Elon Musk, why when we did the remote a week ago, we saw him doing business with the Republicans and using Twitter potentially to make money. And it didn't make sense, but now that he's joined the Republican Party, it's a better. It helps us better understand why the hit was the way it was last week. Okay. Kay Travels question, how many red states will turn blue at the midterms, or the other way around, right? Well, what are we looking for right now, Kay? We're looking at Michigan. Concerned that Michigan will stay blue. We're concerned about Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona. We're very concerned about Nevada. Colorado is pretty safe in terms of blue and staying blue. Florida, I think, is the one that's the big fish everybody's watching. And Virginia went red, and that was pretty horrible with the governor, right? Okay. Red states. Huh, that's really interesting what they're saying. So the Republican Party is going to start losing people in major cities like Tennessee, et cetera, in Nashville, et cetera. It's starting to go blue. Basically, the plan of the Republican Party, based on what I'm seeing here, is the same thing, a broad tent. So they're willing to, for example, legalize marijuana if it means not losing Republicans in red states. But I think medical marijuana is like 7 points in Pennsylvania. It's going to really cost the Senate in Pennsylvania and possibly the governorship, because you have this new contracts coming in. So so there's something about new laws or new bills in order to keep getting voted Republican. So the Republican Party has to become slightly liberal in order to be a big tent themselves. And this is one of the big issues that's causing people to leave the Republican Party. But you have this changing of the Republican Party, also research. So they could change their own policies in order to get more people to vote. So they know they lost people. It goes back to what Bannon said about how women are leaving the Republican Party in droves. And then the karma card here, and then money. You can't just keep throwing money at people and saying, vote Republican because we'll give you gobs and gobs of money. Yes, but you killed my wife who was pregnant, who couldn't get medical. You know, money is not going to be enough to save the Republican Party if women have walked out, if minorities have walked out, if people who can't get good health care, medical marijuana. These are the issues that they're going to have to start to woo if they want to continue to preserve their party. And so Republicans will probably attempt to save their party by deregulating and getting into business with the new green economy and marijuana. So that's if the Republican Party doesn't begin to become part of the green economy, they will lose the Democratic Party because it's not profitable. And so they can no longer argue that they are the party of money if the money for the dispensaries, the money for the psilocybin research, et cetera, if the Democrats are all over it and they're making billions and the Republicans are not a part of it, then if you're arguing that money, you're the party of money and business, you'd better change your policies about medical marijuana and psilocybin because that's where the money is. That's basically what I see for the Republican Party. They will have to change themselves because it's all about money. All about money and entrepreneurship. New contracts, new business from the Republicans, entrepreneurship, the King of Wands, research, development, Ten of Pentacles, legacy, over the karma of the business money, offers of job over what the green harvest, green economy. In plain words, if the Democrats want to turn blue, they have to they have to push the new green economy, women's rights, etc. Because if they don't, the Republicans will change themselves because they're the party of money and it could cost us the election. So before they have a chance to do that, we have to emphasize those things that they have traditionally been opposed to. And in that way, we have to talk about medical marijuana. We have to talk about the green economy. We have to talk about minimum wage, because if we don't, and if they start adopting those policies, we could lose. That's basic. And they will start to adopt those policies because they understand that if they don't, they're going to lose their constituents. That's basically what it looked like. All right, Marie Henson has a question. Mike Flynn's crazy talk. Takeover countries, arrest, confined soon. Okay, let's look at Mike Flynn. All right, the future of Mike Flynn. You know, this is something that people are saying a lot. Like now there's rumors going around that Mike Flynn's mental health, like he's starting to show signs of almost like a dementia or so. A lot of these guys have drinking problems too. But I always felt with Michael Flynn that being cursed, being called a traitor, losing his job, his anger and his resentment towards the Obama administration for firing him, you know, that's a lot of what happened to Flynn. I think he had a drinking problem. He had a lot of problems, and so he was fired, I think, because of performance problems. So maybe his mental health, also that he was under investigation for potentially doing illegal financial dealings with another country. You can see here, so his behavior is what got him fired, but you can see here's the money issue. He took a job. He's the master, so he's working a job. So stumping for Trump, the work that he was doing was paid, and he presents as the expert. But his path is not good. This is somebody where his colleagues want nothing to do with him, and it really broke his heart. He lost his community. He almost looks like somebody who may be like an alcoholic, bad relationship with his wife, mental health problems, destroyed his career with his unstable behavior, his anger, his alcoholism, started doing business with questionable people, was terminated under the Obama administration because of his unstable behavior, his drinking, etc. You can see here, heartbroken, 5 of Pentacles, exile. It's like the homeless person outside the mission trying to get food. It really screwed him up when he was fired. He's not going to be allowed to do much more damage because you can see the Hierophant, which is also the Constitution in law in my cards, and also Lady Justice comes in. So something is going to thwart him. I do think this man has mental health issues or something is wrong because the final outcome for Michael Flynn is confusion, howling at the moon, and 2 of Swords. What it always looked like to me is that he would be hounded for the rest of his life and called a traitor. And he just spirals out. His 2 of Swords, closed heart, confused. I think he's someone with serious problems. And even if he doesn't go to prison, he's been, I think he's been publicly humiliated. I think he was publicly humiliated when he lost his job. And I think that that's psychologically a lot of where he was coming from with those cards. I think a lot of it, well, he always gets temperance issues. He always has like addiction issues. You know, it's weird. Charles Flynn and this whole thing is weird because people are arguing that they honestly didn't know whose orders they were supposed to be following. There was some real confusion on this day. Who's in charge? Who's giving the orders? What's going on here? So I mean, it's amazing that it was able to get to the point that it got to, but let's take a look at Charles Flynn. If you can't be impeached for that, you can't be impeached for anything. Charles Flynn. For whatever reason, I don't see him in trouble. He's got his wish. He's in a position of power, wooed, back at work. Strange. Is it possible that victory for him, he gets his wish? Well, it looks like he's retiring and he's going to get his pension, and that's what he wanted. Looks like he's retiring soon, you can see. Somehow he gets off, I'm sorry to say. I don't know why. Yeah. Oh, those vegan guys are here. Yay! Those vegan guys. That's that channel I love. I was telling you about. I'm really getting into simple vegan cooking. So if you guys are wanting to get a budget channel, check out those vegan. These guys are really fun. And yeah, I like them. They make me happy. It's one of those channels where I always smile when I watch them. Because thank you for coming, by the way. All right. Okay. So let's see. The Oracle of Whimsy, Foggy Ozark wants to know, Democrats have a plan to stop the Republican election deniers from winning governor and secretary of state positions in toss-up states like Arizona, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan. This is what's really scary, right? Because the local level, they're dismantling democracy. So it's terrifying, right? Let's take a look. Can the states override the feds? Let's take a look. Oh, they're at the allotment. Very nice. Yeah, well, guess what? I grow my vegetables on my terrace, and I have enough. I have so much food, and I'm just growing it on a terrace. It's crazy. All right, the GOP toss-up states. I don't think the Republicans are going to get as far as they want, because I keep seeing prosecutions like these organizations that are attempting to dismantle state laws, etc. Look at this. Look at what's going on with us. You have new contracts, new evidence, and then the power, and then the strength, and then walking away. It's like we dismantle. I really think Homeland Security is going to dismantle these people. This is why I think that the attacks that were supposed to happen in the United States, like these racist attacks, it was probably going to be a lot worse. But this feels like something gets nipped in the bud. Like, look at this fighting. You have the fighting, but it gets controlled. Also, I keep seeing economic stability for the country. I want to do a quick throw on inflation. I know a lot of people were concerned about inflation, and I keep seeing things stabilizing by September. But I'd like to take a look. How is everybody doing, by the way, with finance? Anybody struggling with food scarcity? I forgot to put the fundraiser up today. But let's go ahead and throw on inflation. I just want to see how it's going. You know, we keep raising interest rates. Hopefully that'll stabilize. The market's been crashing a little bit. Yeah, miter. I'm using the grow lights are not strong enough for the tomato plants, but they need pollinators too, unless you pollinate by hand. But I'm gonna get so much tomatoes this year that I'll probably have to can my tomatoes, because I just keep planting tomato plants. I just keep planting them from seed, and they keep coming up, and then I just transplant them outside into bigger pots, and I just keep stacking up the pots. So right now I've got like 100. I don't know what to do with them. I just keep growing tomato plants. And also I throw vegetables in my compost, and now vegetables are growing out of my compost, like tomatoes grow out of the compost bag and stuff. It's pretty crazy. Oh, Don Jr.'s getting married? Ugh, that's what we're looking at? All right. Don Jr. getting married. Oh, we have to look at the economy first. Let's look at the economy. Then we'll look at Don Jr. getting married. Oh, the economy is good. Good. You know what I always see with the economy is new creative business. Like a lot of people don't, the offices, people work from home now. Look at all this creative, loving energy. Ace of Cups is coming in. Also, the position of power, creative energy, King of Cups, and spiritual energy. I really feel the economy is going to be okay. Yeah, more work. Yeah, happy family. Expect things to stabilize around July and the economy to slow down by September. Okay, Don Jr. What's going to be with Don Jr.? And evidently he's getting married. Tiffany's getting married too. Well, they're both getting married because Don Jr. is engaged. But I didn't see that relationship working, but what do I know? He isn't getting married? Oh, well, let's check and see what's going to happen with Don Jr. since we've pinned it. Okay, Don Jr.'s future. Oh, he's getting involved with new business ideas. Uh, he's getting involved with new business. He's got a lot of confusion. There is a possibility of marriage and Hierophant. You know what's kind of weird? It's almost like he's getting involved in new business. I would not be surprised if Don Jr. got involved with like medical marijuana or some kind of new business opportunity to become rich. But it's possible that he could be facing some kind of legal actions because he's got additional problems ahead. I see him distancing himself from his father, Five of Swords. I think he and Donald Trump are probably being advised not to have much of a relationship together. I wouldn't be surprised if his mom told him, I knew nothing good was going to come from your father. It has that aspect, walking away. I think in order to save himself, he may start testifying against people. His cards never show him close to his father in the future. Same with Ivanka. It's like the family is just kind of disintegrated after. And I think it's just all these investigations. All right. Deb Brady asked, where are Ivanka and Jared? Haven't seen them in a while. Same thing. They were advised to separate when we did remote views, to not have anything to do with the former administration. Also, she was cooperating with some of the investigations. And basically, when you go into her remote views, she's arguing that her father had degenerating mental capacity and was being taken advantage of by Giuliani. That's her argument. All right, let's take a look at the future of Ivanka and Jared. Ivanka and Jared. I don't see them in the United States right now. Are they in Israel? Are they spending the summer in Israel? It's very possible. Something karmic is happening to them. There's some kind of karmic consequence coming to them, confusion. The truth is coming out and a decision must be made. Let's figure out what that's about. It goes back, it always comes back the same way, that everything that she and Jared distance themselves. If there's a possibility that Trump is prosecuted, he'll probably get off due to some kind of mental dysfunction. She keeps saying the same thing also when you do the remotes, that as bad as he was, his mental capacity declines after he gets COVID. He refused imaging because they wanted to make an assessment to see if he had COVID brain. He refused. There's always this defense of him as if it's a mental health issue. My senior father is being taken advantage of. She's interesting. I don't see her getting into politics. I know she had talked about that, but karmic consequences and then sobriety. I if she I would not be surprised if she went to jail for a little bit, if they do decide to prosecute anybody for misappropriation of funds or anything like that, because her name was on so many signatures. She did have the confusion there, but she's got a 6 of Wands, which would indicate that she's attempting at least to go into a positive trajectory. Unfortunately, some stuff is going to start coming out, and it could have a legal consequence to her, because you can see Archangel Michael comes, which is associated with some truth coming out, and the Justice Department, or Justice, the queen who carries the sword of truth. And then a judgment is made because she engaged in some foolish behavior, which again would suggest that she may face prosecution due to some action. And there's a karma here, because it started with karma, foolish behavior, and a judgment. What's interesting is that some people who cooperate with the investigation could wind up being pardoned by Biden. There's a possible Biden pardon for anyone who cooperates with the investigation. Weird, huh? So what do y'all think about that? Let's have a cup of coffee and chat for a sec. She's too pretty for prison? Is Ivanka too pretty for prison? Well, orange is the new black, Ivanka. All right, here's a question from those vegan guys. Yes, they're on the other side of the pond. And they've got a good question. Let's start asking some international. We've been doing too much American stuff. They want to know about Johnson. Are staunch conservatives? Are you staunch Republicans? Are you? Oh, yes, that's right. Your Tories are our Republicans. Now, you heard the good news, Jason and Paul. You heard that we have good news out of Australia. So let's see if we can't get some good news out of Britain. The Tories, take a break. Go on holiday for a long, long time. Yes, let's take a look. What is the future of Johnson in Britain? Boris. Oh, wow. Oh, my. Oh, dear. I think Johnson's leaving. I think the Tories are leaving. This is, retire early. His cards are like, take your wife and your child. Mazel tov. Congratulations. Time to go to the country. Yes, it's Johnson in the country. He's got a 6 of Swords, which is the captives card, right? The captive flees, they get out of prison, smoother waters, lay ahead. You take your wife, your kid, and you leave. So he's taking his family and he's leaving. That would lead me to suspect he's not going to be at 10 Downing for long. And then here's the other thing that happens in his future, some kind of major event. So you have the Tower coming to Britain. And it's usually economic. So I think this whole Brexit thing must have been a disaster, because there's more things falling apart. It's like bad Chinese electronics, Brexit is like bad Chinese electronics. It just kind of, you just have things falling apart. Like, what now? The other energy that's coming in for Britain after that, get this guy out of there and this crash and this stuff that was put together piecemeal. It almost looks like they taped things together that don't work, and now it's all kind of collapsing at once. That's the economy in Britain that has to be dealt with because of this Brexit thing. But then you have the Queen of Swords coming in, which is justice, truth, and exile for Johnson. Poverty, exile, leave. The woman who's trying to get away from the broken man that's sucking her dry. Locked out of the church, locked out of the mission, broke. So there's a crash in the economy. There's concerns about poverty, and it seems to have cost the Tories and Johnson his job. That's basically what they're saying. They're very behind. They're saying that part of the problem was that you did not invest in new technology as much as you should have, and that is costing Britain a lot of money. They should have invested it more in the green economy. They should have invested more in technology, in future infrastructure. And now they're trying to play catch up in Britain, because you can see here, this is a green economy. It's also about production. So there's a problem with production, importing and exporting probably after Brexit. And then they're still trying to clean up Brexit. Look at this, the mess, the investigation. And then the final outcome, poverty and heartbreak. It's a mess, and it's a mess they're still cleaning up. He did a lot of damage. I don't know what happened. I mean, I don't know enough about Britain to know, but the cards are absolutely wretched. Look at these outcomes. Poverty and heartbreak. So yes, you're going labor, and probably, I'm sorry to say, there's going to be some more disruptions in your economy and frustrations over your agriculture, because Britain, well, if it's what I think it is based on those cards, they're not producing enough food and resources. They're on an island. They're going to have to import. Their importing is a mess. And they didn't invest enough in infrastructure like the green economy, food production, when they decided to do Brexit. And that's what it looks like. And so and they put everything together piecemeal to allow these trade to go through. And then all these contracts and everything begin to fall apart over the next few months. And that combined with the economy is what cost Tory in the next election. That's basically what they said. Thank you, Lily Rose. Thank you for that donation. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's keep going. Did everybody share, like, subscribe? Yes, thank you. And you're all becoming members? Patreon? Thank you. And thank you for the donations. All right, so this is an interesting... Where do you guys want to stay in the United States, or do you want to start doing more international questions? I think let's start to maybe, because we do have a lot of people here from Europe and Australia. Let's do a little bit more of the international stuff. There's a good question here from Liz I think you guys might like. Liz says, can you look at the Russian Orthodox leader? He yields a lot of power, aligning with Putin. National agenda. You guys know about this, right? That the Russian Orthodox Church is backing the war. They want the head of the Eastern Ukrainian Church to be in, what is it, St. Petersburg? Is that where the Russian Orthodox Church is based? Anyway, that's the big issue. So then after the war, the Ukrainian Church basically distanced themselves. That became the issue. Okay, so vegan guys about marijuana. Well, I'm in Oregon, so we have pizza and pipes. it's easier to have marijuana delivered to your home in Portland than alcohol. You order pizza, you order some pipes, you watch a movie. It's completely legal. So it's, people say, oh my God, I can't believe you live in Portland or you live in California and marijuana, just, I'll take a pizza and we're going to watch them. It's just the same as if you order a beer. And so I think if you live in that part of the world, we think, well, it's weird if it's like, why isn't it legal? It's like, I don't know. Of all the things that would be illegal, I can see guns being illegal or, security. Yeah, so we are very progressive out here. All right, the future of the Russian Orthodox Church. Wow, the church is really interesting. The future of the Russian Orthodox Church. They supported Putin. People know that Putin is ill. Putin is very ill. Do people know just how ill Putin is? And this is now becoming public information. So, I'm a doctor, right? I went to med school before I did this. Evidently, he was at the hospital. He went to the hospital last week because he had ascites removed. Ascites, fluid. So he had fluid in his abdomen, and so Putin had to have the fluid removed. So malignant ascites that's caused due to cancer, this kind of swelling that Putin has, is associated with final stages of cancer. It could be that he has a tumor that's blocking, causing a block. It could have metastasized to the liver. It can be all kinds of things. It can be low proteins if his blood is weak. When a person has that kind of malignant ascites, the life expectancy is like 1 month. I was reading 1 to 4 months. Multiple myeloma is considered, yes, a blood cancer. So you have the leukemias, you have the lymphomas, and you have the myelomas. Those are the 3 types. Oh, that's right, geriatric brig. And so you have 6 different types of malignant ascites. And hepatic encephalopathy, yeah. But I think it could be because his albumin levels, his proteins are so low, that's what's causing it. And that can also happen if your white blood cell count tanks. So I don't think that Putin's going to be with us more than a couple of months, given his medical information. But the church is actually probably going to be doing a lot better without Putin, because the base card of the Russian church is the world. So this was what the church wanted, right? They wanted to expand to the world. We're going to get to the 4 corners of the earth, and it's going to be the true church. This is what they wanted. And sure enough, you've got the world, you've got a transformation happening in the church, and a new beginning. So it's still this idea of, we are the true church. We are the holy church. Yeah, low albumin, right, Jerry? You're a nurse. Are you a doctor too, or a nurse? Anyway, so they had really they thought that they were going to be the world's church, but look at the final outcome here: confusion. So they are true believers. They are true believers. So that was the support of Putin. Putin was going to be like the new czar of Russia. There's a transition. There's a new guy that's going to be the head of the church, and he is a lot less extreme. And his vision for the future of the church, the new head of the Russian church, is more about inclusion and being a support to the community. So this is a new guy coming in who's going to be the head of the church. And he's talking here about the fact that his goal is to just be an open door for people to come and support the church, and it's less militaristic. That is the future of the church. We open our doors so that everybody can come and enjoy the church. So it's a new horizon for the church, and it has a less militaristic. It's much more positive, like the stars over the church, the lovers over the church, a new beginning. So it's a very positive movements for the church as a church that should be inclusive. No, we don't want to take over the world. We open our, it's a nice place to pray and experience our church, etc. So it's a new, progressive, positive energy. The world is about inclusion, but it's not like it used to be. With these types of, with this leader that you're talking about, this Krill, it used to be almost militaristic. It's not like that in the future, which leads me to think that you have a new leader in the future. The EU wants to sanction him. That doesn't surprise me. He's not staying, though, not with those cards. All right. I think I'm going to call it quits because it's already 12:38. But if anybody has a last question, we can do a last question. Oh, this is an interesting international question. Who here has heard this about the cathedral at Notre Dame? There was a fire, and there was a concern actually that it may have been deliberate. Other people say no, it wasn't. Somebody just dropped a cigarette, one of the workmen. Let's take a look and see about that. And this will be our last question. Did everybody have fun? What'd y'all have for brunch? That's what I'd like to know. I had my green smoothie. Is it anybody at a restaurant? Is anybody having brunch with us from a restaurant? There's 800 of us. 800 people having brunch together. And then my next question is, who here is having something really incredible for their brunch or for their dinner if you are in Europe, or a midnight snack? And it's just so damn tasty. You've got to tell us all about it. I'm just finishing up my coffee. It was an accident. It was an accident. But the person who did it knows they did it, and either they were afraid to tell or people suspected. I think somebody dropped a cigarette. But these are oil-based paints. It's really dangerous. I don't think people realize how flammable this can be. But it was an accident. It wasn't, there's nothing intentional here. There was an investigation. Ace of Cups, nothing intentional. Money's going to be there to repair. Judgment is good. But somebody did something they shouldn't have done. Probably they dropped a cigarette or something. If they catch him, they could be charged. Whoops, dropped the cigarette. I'm out. 7 of Swords. Courts come in. Yeah. But it was just, everybody smokes. That's the problem. In Paris, everybody smokes. Everybody's smoking, you're dropping. You have workers up there. It happens. It was an accident. All right, my beloveds. I want to see what you guys are all eating here. Yeah, more likes. I need more likes. Potato patties. Oh my God. Those vegan guys, Paul, he's the main chef, the main cook. He makes some really good food. If you guys are looking for some good vegan ideas. He made these, mock kebabs, curry kebabs, I think. They looked so good, man. I wanna try that. I just lost my taste for meat. I'm not a vegetarian, but I'm kinda losing my taste for meat. Let's see, what do we got here? CBD protein bites, granola, peanut butter, honey, banana. Oh, yum. That actually sounds pretty good. In the mornings, I don't have much of an appetite, so in the mornings, I usually just will have a coffee and a smoothie. My appetite doesn't really start to take off until, like, 3, 4 in the afternoon. I eat late. That's the problem, and that's supposed you're supposed to eat in the I just don't have an appetite in the morning. Oh, tater tots, how yum, yum. Tomato, butter. Anybody here at a restaurant? Hi, Melinda, good to see you. Oh, they're here, those vegan guys. Yeah, it's just a nice channel. Um, I just, you know, you watch a channel and you laugh and you feel good and you learn how to make a vegan salad, and it's just cool. It's nice. It's also healthy because the older we get, you really got to start watching what you eat. Oh, J Cat Lady, thank you for that beautiful design. So pretty. Well, it's interesting. In Ayurvedic medicine, they say your stomach doesn't really wake up until like 11, 12 in the afternoon. And so people will wake up and they'll have a little tea, but they consider a lunch to be the most important meal of the day. And breakfast is usually just like something very light. Same in Pakistan. They'll just have tea and leftovers, a little something light. Ooh, I love potato pancakes. Vegan fricadella made from red kidney beans. Oh my gosh. Bread pudding. Oh, yummy. I love Indian food. Oh, you subscribe to the vegan? Yeah, they're really nice. You'll get some good ideas from Paul. He's a good cook. They've got their own garden too, just like I do, and that makes a huge difference when you can grow your own stuff. All right, so be sure and support the other readers. It was fun hanging out. And I will see you all next time. If you're trying to get in for a reading, you can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com. If you need a quick 5-minute reading taped, you can go to Wizio. And also, if you'd like to see some of our private videos, please think about joining the channel or checking me out on Patreon. And the information is below the video. Love and light to you all. And I'll see you next time. All right.